All right. How y'all doing today? I hope everybody is doing well. All right, we got yet another episode of This Week in Supervision. I'm hoping that we're live. I've got some things that I definitely want to cover today that I think will be interesting because we're going to be talking about the issue about gifts. Okay, what happens if you have a client who I'm laughing because every time I start this thing up, something's gonna mess up. Anyway, yeah. So what happens if you have a client and they say, you know what, I like gifts, and for some people, gifts start to them a client, you working with a couple, something like that. One person says that they like gifts. Sometimes that can cause some conflict in the relationship. But the thing is, the reason for the conflict is what we're going to talk about. Like, is this kind of a surface issue? If you had some clients that you were seeing and they were having issues, I need somebody to help me with this stuff. And they had some issues, right, with gifts. And one person is saying, hey, my husband is not appreciating me when it's birthdays and Christmas and things like that. He just doesn't look out. I'm always the one looking out, and I'm just tired of it. Like what is behind that? Like, is that the surface issue that we want to attack, or do we want to explore to see if there's some other things that might be going on in the relationship that the couple needs to know about that's contributing to how that person feels, and solutions on how to make them feel better about the situation. So yeah, I'm Troy Wise with Aspire, and I have This Week in Supervision for you, and we're going to talk about that. But before we jump into that, I do want to tell you a little bit about our supervision program or supervisor program that we have coming up on, what is it? September is our next one, September 25th and 26th. Come check us out if you are a social work. If you want to be a social work supervisor, we've got a training for you. It is virtual. We have these every month, and so we want you to come on out and join us, and you can get some more information. I'll leave it in the chat. But let's get to what we're talking about today. All right. And so I want to show you all a clip. Okay. So I want you to be thinking about, like, what would I do if I was in this situation? How would I treat this couple? Or the reason I want to, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Well, let me just go on and hit on it. The Gottmans, they're the king and queen of relationship counseling, but I found that some of their materials are helpful also with working with individuals. And this one particular activity is that way. Now, you'll want to go and purchase their materials in order to get the PDF and things like that. But I'm going to show you something, and I'll leave the link for a situation, because the thing I like about their training is they use real life counseling sessions to help to train you to get better. And there's a particular one, I forget the name of it. It's called Therapy Sessions Live. And it has this scenario, but let's get to it, y'all. I want to switch over. So the problem is with just a backdrop is, again, the woman in the situation, they're getting counseling from the Gottmans, and the lady is having some issues with wanting gifts and desiring gifts. She's like, I've been married for a long time, and I've never really made an issue about it, but I want to receive gifts when it's time. I'm always putting out. And if you listen to this, as a therapist, we should already be able to assess that, one thing I'm probably going to want to rule out is, are there some codependency concerns? You see what I'm saying? Are there some codependency concerns in this situation? But that's not all that this is about. And so we're going to play a clip and hear how Julie Gottman says that this should be approached, or she gives an example of how to treat this situation with their dreams of conflict activity. That's the PDF that you want to get when you buy that. It's called Dreams Within Conflict. All right, and we're going to put that on.
So, as the speaker, Chantel, why don't you begin by simply talking about your position regarding gifts? What gifts mean to you? And you're going to be talking with Paul, so this will be a dialogue between the two of you. Paul, your role will be to just listen and then ask each question in turn if it makes sense to you, okay? And I'll help you with this too. All right. Chantel, you want to begin?
I've always felt that gifts are a token of your affection or your appreciation for someone, and that when you give them a gift, that's your way of showing that, especially if it's something that you know they wanted or something that they didn't know that they could ever get. That's huge for me. I don't remember growing up with a lot of gifts. And then I remember sharing a lot. It wasn't anything that was particularly mine. Kind of always having the dream of being given to at some point. And maybe if I give enough, somebody will want to get back.
Paul, try asking that question as Chantel is leading into this, the question about history.
Is there a story behind this for you?
Or many.
And that was just what the first question asked.
I don't remember.
What did you say, Chantel?
I just wasn't given much because I needed to be appreciated. People were taking care of me. So they would come home, buy stuff for their kids. I wouldn't even get a pack of socks. It seems no Christmases, no birthdays.
All
And
right.
I just felt like if I give enough to somebody,
We're going to stop it there. We're going to stop the share there, but there's a lot going on there. Okay. And so what we were discussing in supervision, and I want to try to remember to put the link, the YouTube clip. I saw this on YouTube, and leave that clip for you all. And then also a clip if you want to buy the Gottman's materials, their training materials. They're really great. I'm not an affiliate or anything, but I think it's just, it's great stuff. It taught me everything basically that I know at the start of my career in psychotherapy as a couples counselor. But so a lot of times we're being presented with problems by our clients, and we don't always recognize that some things have deeper meaning. Freud called it psychic determinism. In other words, nothing happens. It meant that basically nothing happens just out the blue. There's a reason behind everything that happens why it happens. And it's up to us as therapists to help to uncover that, because many of the things that we will see with our clients, it's they're reacting on an unconscious level. Many times until we use these types of interventions, they're not even aware that the reason why they act and respond the way they do is because of things that happen to them. And y'all keep hearing me talking about what happened to you. And so she mentioned that there was no Christmas and no birthday parties, and basically that like during Christmas and events like that, everybody else would be given something, but she wouldn't even give socks. And then she was supposed to be just thankful. And as a result of that, when she did get some gifts and things, she would just shower the whole neighborhood with the things that she got. So this a lot of what we're trying to focus on when we're working with clients is understanding how what core beliefs have been developed as a result of circumstances that you have faced in your life. The circumstance being that gifts were withheld from me. People were given stuff and I wasn't. I was overlooked. I was not appreciated. I was told to just be thankful. So as a result of those experiences by my caregivers, what core beliefs did I establish as a result of that? All right, it's about time to wrap it up. What core beliefs did I develop as a result of that? And some of the core beliefs that she talks about is that, and she says it with her own mouth, she's giving us a whole treatment plan. If I give enough to others, they will give something else back. If you think about it, that makes sense, because if I have a desire to be wanted from my caregivers, then I usually carry that over into others outside of others outside of the caregivers, according to object relations. I started to see the world that way. Anyway, I started having relationships and I do some of the same things. So if I'm giving all of my gifts to the whole community out in the neighborhood, then maybe I'm showing love, maybe they will love me back. It's a thing too. A lot of this happens with anxious, preoccupied, codependence, things like that. But a lot of times what I even have to process with my clients is like the reason why you're giving. Sometimes the reason why you're giving is not even pure. Of course, you don't share that sometimes with their spouse because it could be a conflict. That's something you might want to process with them one-on-one. But their reason for giving is because sometimes I have a need to be needed. And so that I feel that if I give, then people will give me back love. And so it's not really at the purest state of how we want to develop loving relationships, because the root of it is rooted in insecurity, right? And so we study the core beliefs. Another core belief was it's better to give than to receive. And what happened was, as a result of this, she got fed up with doing that in her marriage because she said she was maturing. I would take it as a sign that something's been going on in her mind, that maybe this isn't right, that I'm giving to everybody and not receiving. But sometimes we live almost our whole entire lives functioning like this by default of what we have been programmed to think about ourselves. And therefore, because we haven't even developed the full love and confidence for ourselves, we just settle in relationships and don't require much from others. She was stepping up to the point to where it's like, you know what? I think I should get back what I put out, or not even that. I just deserve love. And that's where we want our clients to be, to a point to where they understand that, hey, I deserve love, whether you want to give it or not, I'm worth it. All right, so this is what we talked about in supervision. I'm going to try to wrap it up before we get too deep into this. I appreciate y'all staying tuned, and we're going to do this again next week. God willing, we're going to do it again next week. I hope you learned something. Y'all take care.